Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 17 of the Loose Balls Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ryan Heffernan. To my right is...
Tristan Mabin.
To my left is...
Christopher Bean. What up, though?
How is everybody doing? I cannot believe we're already 16 episodes deep. You know, kudos to us and kudos to you all for watching.
It's been a great ride.
It's been a great ride, and so have these NBA playoffs.
Absolutely.
And NHL playoffs. We're going to be getting into all that today. We're going to be getting into the second round, and we're going to just briefly touch a couple of the first round matchups because we already went through most of them last week. And yeah, without further ado, Bean, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Hef.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all the listeners. We appreciate you listening each and every week. It does mean a lot to us. For the new listeners, still a relatively new podcast, obviously 17th episode today. And like we've mentioned before, but we'll mention it again, we are three lifelong friends. I've known Hef for almost 20 years, Mabin for 15. And Hef and Mabin kind of met through our friend group 15 years ago, or excuse me, about 10 years ago in high school. And basically just, you know, friends shooting the shit about sports, basically what you guys do back home. So me and Mabin wanted to do a podcast. We talked about it several times, you know, throughout the years, but Hef really about 6 months ago at this point asked me and Mabin if we wanted to go through with it, and here we are. So thank you, everybody, and without further ado, we'll start with you, Hef. We'll start with Game 7 between the Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues. Your integrity was on the line, and it came through on Sunday night.
Yeah. To be honest, I wasn't watching that game. I was watching an NBA game. But Bean was all over my ass in the chat, and that's something I won't forget. You know, and that's something that's also not new.
It wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't bad. So, you know, you said I have a lot of questions to answer, but at least, you know, they came back in double OT and won the game. But they were my pick to win the Stanley Cup. So, you know, they're still alive by the skin of their balls. So that's pretty cool. But something does need to be answered, and I don't have the answer to that. About his stats compared to the regular season to the playoffs. Yeah,
what was it, the last 2 years, maybe?
This has sort of been his MO. He's an absolute stud, and he has the Vezina locked up, which is the best goalie in the league award, and he may win the MVP of the league award because of how good he was in the regular season. But he's been so shaky in the playoffs the last 3 years. He was shaky in Game 7. But his team able to come back, an incredible comeback, scored the tying goal in regulation with like a second to go, and then won it in overtime.
Remarkable comeback.
Hellebuck had some big saves in OT, so hopefully, you know, he can come back and bounce back in the second round. I hope the Jets. I like the Jets. I love their atmosphere. The whiteout is so sick. One of the best environments in sports, so I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, he didn't face too many shots in both overtimes. But he was saving shots that he was letting go in the first three periods, and obviously a remarkable comeback. What was his Perfetti got a couple?
Yeah, so it was such a weird play. And this is the beauty of hockey is like some broken plays can just turn into magical moments, sort of like that did. The puck went back to the point, and the guy tried to hit a one timer, and
he whiffed.
I think he just whiffed, or maybe his stick. Just like missed the ice or the puck or whatever.
Yeah.
But the puck came back to him, and then he was able to pass it to the guy at the wing. Took a shot, and then it deflected off Perfetti, and it went in. It was a broken play, but it worked out for the Jets.
Yeah, they pulled their goalie with just under 4 minutes left. Hellebuck, obviously, and they scored with I think just under 2 minutes to go to cut it to one, and then Perfetti, that was his second tip of the game. He's I think did he score both goals?
I don't remember.
Maybe they should just play the entire game with Hellebuck out.
Yeah,
just have 6 men on the ice.
Just go empty net the whole game.
Yeah, I mean they're what 2-0.
They didn't give up any goals either.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the same thing.
That's a good point.
With Hellebuck in goal and with him not in goal, I mean you still have the same amount of chances.
That's a good point
To score because Hellebuck's so buns.
Puck knower, Ryan Heffernan.
It's hard to because they won obviously, and obviously the goalies are on the ice the whole time. Obviously they took him out. They won in overtime, and he still had a negative plus minus, which that was just crazy. But yeah, 2 clutch goals. The Blues, I mean, they were a scrappy team. Bennington was unbelievable for basically 59 minutes and 58 seconds maybe, and even in overtime, the Jets were, they obviously forced overtime, and it was pretty much all of them in both overtimes, and they scored a late goal.
Yeah.
So the Jets they're a good team. Obviously, they have home ice, but it's going to be tough to beat the Stars, that was an unbelievable game.
Stars Game 7. Those are that Game 7 against the Avs and the Stars is something that you could never make up. You can't make a Hollywood script better than that. It was incredible. Imagine that you're an Avs fan. You trade away Mikko Rantanen, who's been there for a decade, who's been a great player. Nate McKinnon's running mate, won a cup with him. Trade him to the Eastern Conference. Right, you're already upset that you lose one of your best players. But then he gets traded to one of your rivals in Dallas, and all of a sudden you're playing him in the first round, right?
Crazy.
And then Game 7, you're up 2-0. Nate McKinnon scores early in the third period, and then it's the Mikko Rantanen show. He had 11 points in Game 5, 6, and 7.
Yep.
He was incredible, scored the hat trick, and helped. He was everywhere on the ice for Game 7.
Did he get that hat trick in like 1 period or 2 periods?
Third period.
Literally
they
in
were
8
down
minutes.
2-0 early in the third. Rantanen scored a rocket of a shot from the slot, and then he had a wraparound that banked off one of the defensemen for Colorado, and then he got the empty netter to seal the hat trick.
Wow.
I
think he had an assist too on.
Yeah, I think he had 4 points.
Yeah.
They scored right off the draw on the power play to take the lead. And so when they took the lead half, it was 3 goals in like 8 minutes to take the lead.
Right.
They were down 2-0.
He had the pass to Wyatt Johnston.
Yep.
Incredible pass, and then Johnston finished it. I said it before when we were doing our preview. I think whoever wins this series is going to win the cup.
Yep.
I'm hesitant on that still because there's some teams in the East that I really like that I think could come out and win it all. But I do think Dallas is going to come out of the West. It's going to be a great series against Vegas.
Yep.
Vegas is really good, and they have championship pedigree as well. But I just feel like the Stars, they're supposed to get some of their best players. Think about this. They beat the Avs without their best defenseman and arguably their best forward.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be back for the second round. So
Starting Game 1, they're going to be back?
No, it may be like Game 3 or Game 4, something like that.
Yeah, they might even be out. Like Hiskinen might be out till the next round too, potentially.
We'll see. But I'm loving what the Stars are doing. They get past the Avs. I think they have a good chance to get Vegas, and then I don't know. Maybe they play Winnipeg. Who's the other team in the West? Oilers.
Yeah.
Oilers. I think the Oilers actually beat Winnipeg, but I like Dallas against either of those teams.
It's Vegas versus Oilers. That series
that's
starts tonight. Yep. And Winnipeg. Yeah, so Winnipeg and Dallas. That's going to be a good series. We'll talk about that. I guess we can talk about that right now.
I just wanted to say, are both your guys' Stanley Cup predictions still alive right now?
No, because I had the Avs.
Oh, you did have the Avs?
Yeah.
Oh,
but I did have the caveat that whoever wins that series is going to win the cup.
We both said that series was going 7, which is no brainer because that is like a second or third round matchup.
Yeah, it's the Western Conference Finals in round 1.
What was your finals?
I had Stars versus Toronto. I think the only series I got wrong was I think I had the Kings beating the Oilers, which that was a crazy series.
And then we both had the Lightning coming out of the East.
Yeah,
you and I.
Yeah, you would have won 0-2. So thank God Hellebuck and the Jets.
Yeah, thank God they pulled his ass.
Your Edgewood boy coming up clutch.
Yeah. I think the Stars will take home ice early maybe, and then they'll win in no longer than 6. Obviously the injuries don't help, but Scheifele's out too. I don't know when he's coming back.
Is he? When did he go out?
He didn't play in the last couple games of that series.
Shit.
Yeah, I know. But I like the Stars, and then I think the Golden Knights and the Oilers, I think that's going to be a long series. But the Golden Knights, they just grinded out a series maybe against the Wild where they could have been down 3-1 just like the Oilers were, and then they had a good third period. So who do you like in that matchup? You were saying the Golden Knights.
It's a great storyline to have McDavid versus Eichel. I love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
My gut tells me Vegas is going to win it, but I would love I'm one of those guys that would love to see McDavid win a cup. It's going to happen eventually.
Right.
But it's just a matter of when, not if.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go with the Oilers just because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I'll have the Oilers and Dallas in the Western Conference Finals.
Do the Oilers have the roster to win a cup this year? Because I feel like I've been hearing some different opinions on that.
Well, they have a lot of injuries. I don't know how they're doing in terms of health. I would say Vegas is a better roster.
Yeah, they're deeper.
I would also say that the Stars have a better roster. Really, all three teams in the West that are still in the West competing have better rosters than the Oilers. But the Oilers have the two best players on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they looked dead in the water. We talked about it last week in that Game 4. And then they wiped the floor in Games 5 and 6 maybe. So,
yeah, dominated.
I mean, I really think all these series are going to go at least 6. I mean, these are definitely the best 8 teams left in hockey, which is great. I mean, obviously the Avs aren't there, but nonetheless, Jets, I mean, you could probably make an argument for them over the Jets, or I guess the Oilers, but like you said, the Oilers have the best 2 players, and the Jets won the President's Trophy. So I think this is the first round was great, and I think this is the second round is going to be an all-time. Moving over to the East, how are we feeling about the Caps?
Caps are looking good, man.
Looking good. Your Caps.
I like them. They didn't even have one of their better players in Alexei Protas, who scored 30 goals, even strength goals on the season, and he's a big-time penalty killer for them. Tom Wilson's just a game changer. And Carolina, they played Carolina and Washington played, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And that's when Ovechkin got in a fight with a fellow Russian, Svechnikov, on the Canes, and literally knocked him out on the ice. And I think that's that sort of encompasses how I see this series going. I just don't see the Canes being able to match the physicality of the Caps, and I don't think the Stars have enough speed and skill to overwhelm the Caps, because the Caps, even though that they're a physical team, they have a ton of skill as well. Obviously, you have Ovechkin and Wilson, and Wilson's a lot more skilled than he gets credit for. He's just an absolute game changer. John Carlson, Jacob Chikrin on the back end, they've been piling up the points. And Logan Thompson too. I think he has some things to prove in net. Got his spot taken away in Vegas, and that's why he ended up in Washington. So I think he's got something to prove, and I like the Caps to win that series.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's going, like I said, at least 6, probably 7. It's going to be low scoring affair in most games. Maybe there might be a game or two where it's high scoring, or maybe a blowout. But again, we've said it for the last 3 weeks now. Canes, they just grind you out. Mm-hmm. They're not going to blow you out, but they're also not going to get blown out. So
yeah, I think that's the only way if the Canes are going to win this series, they have to make it an ugly series, because the Caps aren't really known for being a high-scoring team, but they scored the most goals in the league this year.
Exactly.
So, and they have a very reliable decor. So I think the only way the Canes can't get in a track meet, they have to muck it up. All right, they have to, play in the mud a little bit and make the Caps sort of grind it out, because the Caps can really put it on you.
Don't forget Dylan Strome, man. 9 points this
he's been playing great.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Caps because I had them in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's gonna be a great series. I think we're gonna get at least 2 overtime games. Mm-hmm. And I'll go Caps in 6.
Okay.
Ovi game winner in one of the games.
Love it.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yep. Like he did in maybe not necessarily an overtime game winner, but
it's a game winner.
In general. Yep.
Love it.
So obviously the other series, it's the only series that has started so far. Toronto held on yesterday to beat the Panthers. They had a 4-1 lead at one point, and then they ended up winning by 1. It was impressive for Toronto after they blew a 3-0 lead, and it got to Game 6.
Yep.
And they won on Ottawa's ice. And then yesterday, it looked like, it was obviously there for the taking at the end, but they held on. So it looks like Toronto is a little bit more mature, and they're more experienced, obviously. And I think it's their year to make a deep run.
Yeah, and this was what I was alluding to earlier and why I wasn't ready to stamp the Stars as my favorite, because it may be the Leafs' year. And there's that last game that they played against Florida tells me they're a different team, like you were saying, Bean, because the Leafs of the past, they lose that game.
Absolutely.
They were up 4-3, I think, with like over 10 minutes to go. And Matty Nyes, who's one of the better players in the Leafs, not part of that core four that they've had for a few years, but it's just another guy that's come in, and he's going to be a legit like top 3 power forward in the league. He's such a good player, but he scores that breakaway goal, and they hold on to win that game. That gives me all the confidence in the world in them now. So I think if it's going to be a grind this series, it's going to be tough to beat the champs. But if they can get past Florida, I think it's their year.
Wouldn't they've lost that series too? Like a couple years ago against the Senators in round 1. Weren't they up 3-0 and then it went to 3-2?
I don't think they lost up 3-0.
No. They were up 3-0 in the series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Senators won 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, would that also be like a Maple Leafs thing if they blew that series?
If it was the old Leafs, then they at least get to a Game 7, and then Game 7 they probably choke. So the fact they were able to close that series out against a tough Ottawa team, and then they hold on to a huge Game 1 victory against Florida, it gives me a lot of confidence in the Leafs. Austin Matthews is playing well. Mitch Marner seems to be chipping in. Nylander had 2 goals in the first period early to get them going. He's been great.
Yeah.
Nylander's been really good. And they have a good defense as well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Leafs.
Yeah, Nylander was one of their better players last year.
He just flies, man. It's fun to watch him.
I have a question for you guys. Out of all the potential matchups, could be round 3 or semis, could be the Cup. Which matchup would you want to see the most? Like either in the next round or the Cup? Like what matchup really gets you going?
My mind immediately went to, if we get an Oilers-Leafs final, the storylines would be unbelievable. It'd be McDavid versus Matthews. You have, obviously if one of those teams win, if they both are in, then you're going to have a Canadian team win the Cup for the first time in, 2 decades.
I think it's longer, right?
3 decades.
Isn't it like 30 years or something?
It's over 3 decades now.
Yeah, so the storyline is there, and then you got 2. I would say the 2 maybe not current faces of the league, because you still have Ovechkin and Crosby still doing what they do. But the next 2 up, I would say, would be McDavid and Matthews. So that'd be great for the league as well. So I would love to see that. A Leafs Caps series would be great too.
I want to see Stars and Knights in the Western Conference Finals. I think that series is bound to go in 7. And then, I would love to see either of those 2 teams play the Leafs or the Caps. I think those 4, but probably for storylines, maybe. I think it's definitely the Leafs and Oilers.
Yeah,
and
that'd
one
be
of them's
incredible.
bound to win a title too. So
Right.
that would be interesting.
How many Canadian teams are left right now? 2 or 3?
3. You got
3.
Winnipeg as well.
Wow. So is this one of the better chances they've had in a long time? Like,
yeah, I mean the Oilers were in the Cup Finals Game 7 last year, so they had a chance there. But the all 3 of those, Winnipeg I'm still a little shaky on. But I think the Oilers have a chance if they can win this series and get to the Western Conference Finals. And the Leafs look really good. Like, they look really, really good. And they seem confident as well. So I like the Leafs' chances. Oilers, they have to win this round, obviously. But they have to win this round for me to really be on their bandwagon. And then Winnipeg, I don't really have much confidence in. I need to see Hellebuck bounce back.
Yeah, he needs to play better. Obviously, his teammates bailed them out in Game 7, and they're gonna have to take care of home ice, because if they don't, then I think Dallas will wrap that up relatively quickly. How are we feeling about Hellebuck? It was almost like you needed to see a series win.
I mean, is it almost to the point where like they're not even gonna start him anymore?
No,
he's won 2 of those goalie of the year of what is the Vezina award?
Vezina. Yep.
Vezina awards. But how is that even possible? You know, do they not have him made from Commerce, Michigan? Like how? Like how can you be that dominant? And be like, how can your stats be so far off? You know?
Yeah.
That's like.
Well,
mesmerized.
Last year it was who did they played the As, which the As were just cooking with gas last year in that series. But yeah, this one was a head scratcher because it was the Blues. It's not like there's some overpowered team. They had to go on a run at the end to just make the playoffs. So yeah, I mean we'll see. Like if he plays well this series, then he'll kind of exercise some demons, because the Stars they're the favorite right now. I think so. They were the favorite coming in.
Must suck to be a Blues fan though.
I don't know. I mean, you weren't really supposed to make the playoffs, and yeah, I mean, it sucks the
way you lost
to be so close and lose in that fashion. Yeah, that's a tough one.
2 empty netters, and then
I mean, giving up 1 is understandable, but giving up 2, that's
especially with 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, and then once they score that goal, you sort of know Winnipeg's at home. They have all the momentum.
Yeah, they were flying around after that for sure. Yeah. Anything else on the NHL, boys?
I mean, just a segue. You mentioned Hellebuck and his sort of playoff woes. I think you just have some guys who are playoff risers and some guys who are playoff floppers. And going into the NBA, Oklahoma City, they just lost Game 1 against the Nugs. And I have some concerns about the Thunder.
Ooh.
What are we thinking about, Mabes?
One, it starts with SGA. I don't feel like SGA has been playing as well as he could be.
He's been shooting 41% this playoffs.
Yeah, not good.
He's still got his average though. He scored 33 yesterday.
But he's usually a very efficient player, and he just hasn't been. And I'm not saying he's a playoff flopper, but just not getting enough from him. And they cannot lose that game. For me to restore confidence in them, they need to come out and dominate Game 2 and not mess around. And when they need to win that game. And I did not. The other thing too that really, had started putting I started having some doubts about them. Their press conference after the game yesterday,
disgusting,
with SGA and Jalen Williams, not even just disengaged, just really bad answers. They seemed like no accountability and
it just looks worse when one guy's on his phone.
Yeah, it was just a bad look. I don't know. The vibes were off. There wasn't anything specific. It just felt like it was a bad vibe, and
it reminded me of those parents that it makes me think like their parents just gave them iPads when they were their whole lives.
Yeah,
and they're just like, here, use this.
Their youth. This is what it is. Their youth really showed.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like that.
In the presser.
It's unbelievable. It's gross.
Yeah.
It pisses me off so much.
Well, I sent the tweet earlier this morning of some OKC fans saying his head is burning because of the horrible answer that Jalen Williams had, and Jalen Williams has not been playing well. And then you look at Chet, Chet missed those 2 free throws at the end of the game that could have at least, I mean, if he hits those 2 shots, they're at least going overtime and they still have a chance to win the game. So he misses both. And Aaron Gordon hits a big-time shot. I sort of felt like Chet was going to at least miss 1 when he went to the line. I was thinking, that's the guy you want to send to the line, because I'm not sold on Chet at all. I think he has a lot of talent. Obviously, he's a good defensive player, and he's got a lot of skill on the offensive side, but I'm not sold of him being a second option on a championship-winning team.
I have this question for you guys real quick. Bean, you could start. What are your thoughts on coach's decision to foul back-to-back times with taking 1 second off the clock? So Jokic was on the bench, and the Nuggets had the ball, and they were down 3. They were driving, and then the Nugget or Caruso would foul him right away, but they wouldn't take any time off the clock. So essentially, and then Chet misses his free throws, and that strategy was pointless.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think this loss is on Mark Dagenhol just as much as the players, because with 13.9 seconds left, the Nuggets tried to go up one, and then they missed the layup. It was great, or AG's layup got blocked after getting the offensive rebound, which the Nuggets had 21 offensive rebounds. Jalen Williams had a big block. Caruso got the ball, gave it to SGA. So then he obviously made the 2 free throws. The Nuggets called their last timeout with 13.9 seconds left, and then the Thunder decided to make play the foul game with that much time. And then so as soon as Jokic got the ball, Caruso fouled, and only 1 second came off the clock. And then ensuing possession, obviously Jokic made both. SGA got a wide open dunk to the basket, so that only wasted like another second. And then that Jokic was off on the bench, like you said, and they decided to foul AG, which AG, obviously, if it was last year, it would have been a good foul, but he's been a much improved free throw shooter. And you're fouling them when the best player in the world is on the bench.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm struggling to understand it, because Jokic had 42, 22, and 6. Mm-hmm. He's not in the game. The Nuggets have no timeouts to call. They have to go the full court with 11 seconds left to tie the game.
Yep.
And you don't have your best facilitator on the court. I just couldn't believe it. Like, when I watched that back, I just couldn't believe it.
Well, they were already committed to the foul game, which I don't understand. And then he made both. And then OKC caught their last timeout, and then Chet got fouled. So that all happened with 4.5 seconds. And within 4.5 seconds, he got fouled with 9.5 seconds. So with 13.9 seconds to 9.5, they only wasted 4.5 seconds, and obviously he missed both. It was a great transition by the Nuggets. Shout out Russell Westbrook to go to the middle of the court, kick it out to
pass.
AG. And AG, man, he's having the playoff.
One heck of a playoffs.
Yeah.
2 all-time game winners.
Yeah, the dunk obviously was huge, and the game winner. And I can't help but think that his brother is watching from above. Obviously, he tragically passed away last offseason, and that's why he changed his number to 32, because his brother Drew wore 32. So obviously he's shining bright on AG this playoffs. But yeah, the playoffs of his career for sure. And that's with winning a title 2 years ago. And he's becoming, at least in the playoffs, the best number 3. We talked about Reeves. Mm-hmm. He's that third option that's really rising to the occasion.
Yeah, and that shot too. We touched on Jokic, and I mean, he just does it so regularly. Like, we just bat an eye at 42 and 22.
I know.
But
you take it for granted.
It's insane what he's doing, and I think the shot he made when they were down 4, the 3 from the top of the key, was a massive shot, and that put all the pressure on OKC to close it out.
Oh, on Isaiah?
Yeah. I don't hate the fouling up 3, but you just got to make your free throws.
My main problem with it, though, is, like, at least waste some time off the clock. Like, because like you're just playing a free throw game that you're winning. So like, I mean, if you waste some time, like if you wasted at least like wait till they get to half court. Waste like 3 seconds. If you do that both times, you have 6 more seconds off the clock.
Yeah.
What I didn't get to is with 13.9 seconds before or like right before they started following is, Denver doesn't have any timeouts. So even if they make it, you have 2 timeouts, and trust, and even at that point, just trust your defense to get one stop.
Right.
You get one stop.
They have the best defense.
Exactly. I don't understand it. It's the youth showed up and the coaching, which I thought Dagenholt's been pretty much flawless the last 2 years. I think the pressure just got to everyone.
But Bean, a question for you now. I mean, these are your Nuggets, at least for right now still.
Yes, sir.
We'll see what happens in the future, but do you think after that game the Nuggets have a chance to win this series, or do you have them winning? Because before this series started, you said OKC in 6. Do you still think that, or do you think it's going to go 7 now?
I think they gotta get it to 3-1 for me to be very comfortable, because I still think this team is so good. The Thunder is very good, but I do like my confidence in this series for the Nuggets has gone up a little bit. But yeah, I think because last year OKC got down 3-1 and they forced a game 6, and they should have forced a game 7. They blew a big lead last year. But yeah, if we can get it to 3-1, it's going to be an all-time high, especially if they win game 2. But like Maben said, we got to see how OKC responds tomorrow night in game 2.
I think they do, but I'm now on the train that the Nuggets are going to win the series. I think we've seen it early on in these playoffs, sort of these younger teams falling to the more experienced team. I mean, we know firsthand the Pistons, their inexperience showed. Yeah. Same thing with the Rockets. In Game 7. They were able to push to Game 7, but their inexperience showed. And, yeah, the Magic's another good example. Yeah. And the Thunder, I mean, they have a bit more experience, but they're playing champions. Guys who have been there and done that and have the championship pedigree and know what it takes to win these crunch time games, and they've done it, perfectly to a T thus far.
I think, before that game, because I did have the OKC beating the Nuggets in round 2, and I did say 7 games, but man, it's so hard to bet against Jokic. It's just so hard to. Like, he's the best player in the league by a fucking mile.
The other thing, too, is Jamal Murray didn't have a great game. He had 21, 6, and 6. He had a
good
decent
first
game.
quarter. I think he had 14 in the first, and then didn't score till like the third or fourth.
But that's what I would be worried about if I'm a Thunder fan, because Jamal Murray is going to have at least a game or 2 where he's just going to go off for like 35, 40 plus. So
right.
You have to imagine that, you have to expect that to come. And you lose game 1, you lose home court advantage right away. Mm-hmm. Not looking good for OKC. They need to respond the right way in game 2.
Yeah, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have the Jamal game, and then you're just gonna have to deal with Jokic every game.
Yeah, you're gonna have a game where
LeBron and
Michael Porter Jr. decides to score hit 6 threes.
Yeah, or Bron scores like 30 or some shit.
Westbrook's gonna have like a triple double type.
They just
game.
have so many guys.
Yeah,
just like the Thunder though. But, I was just texting Pat earlier. I was like, Pat still thinks OKC wins pretty easily. I don't. I'm not going to say anything is easy in this round 2 for anyone right now. But, you got to play your best ball. But, fuck, man, it's really hard not to think about the Nuggets right now.
Yeah. And maybe it's a little bit of recency bias, and it's always like, what have you done for me recently? And I think part of it could be the Thunder being a little rusty, being off for a week or 5 days
8
or something
days.
like that.
SGA's played like 6 games in about 38 days or something.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great. It's rust is going to happen.
Yeah, I thought he wasn't the problem. We needed to see Chet
definitely not the problem.
And J-Dub perform. Like Caruso had a great game defensively and made 5 threes as well.
I think he's the first player. I think I saw this stat. He's the first player in history to put up like a 20-point, 5 assists, 5 steal game off the bench.
Yeah, he was good, but yeah, we got to see them mature a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think they'll definitely make it a series. I think they're too good. They won 68 games in the regular season, so it's definitely going to be a series. But yeah, they're in trouble obviously if they don't win tomorrow night.
And you said it right, Bean. SGA is not a problem, but he has to be the one to find a solution. He needs to be the bus driver and make a statement here in game 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he wants to be known as the best player in the NBA, if he wants to win an MVP, even though it's a regular season award, blah blah.
Yeah,
he's gotta outperform Jokic.
Yeah,
and that is a tough task, and I don't think he's capable of doing it. I just think Jokic is just so far and away the best player in the league. But I guess that's why they play the games. So
yeah.
Very quickly, I know you wanted to touch on it, Maben. What did you think of the Game 7 on Saturday night in Denver between the Clippers and the Nuggets?
Yeah, I think it's just another. it's another indictment on James Harden, and I respect him as a player and what he's done for the league. But time and again, he will show up in the regular season and put up good numbers. But whenever it matters most, he always seems to blow it. And he did it again here in this series. And he's the best player when things don't matter, but then he shrinks when it's time to be the guy. And that encompasses his whole career.
Yeah, I don't think Game 7 was too on him too much. I think the whole team. They
lost by what? They lost by
19, 20? And they got pulled like halfway through the third quarter. Some of their starters, or maybe it was in the fourth quarter, but they were down 30 when they got taken out. But he had 10 assists in the first half. They were down by 9, or maybe it was 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kawhi hit a 3 to start the half, and then immediately 17-0 run. But
I'm not blaming the whole loss on, especially when you lose by 20. It's not all on one player.
Right.
But you're expecting him to be the number 2 guy on this team. And getting 10 assists is great, but you need to show up and score some points, and he just didn't do it well enough.
Yeah. And also, to be fair, we were hyping up Kawhi after Game 2 when he scored 39. He didn't really have one of those like crazy moments after that as well. So like, I know I was one of those people. I was like, wow, he's back to being one of those best players in the world.
Yeah.
And then right when I put him in that category again, after all those injuries he's had, he was not bad, but he wasn't like, he wasn't popping off my screen.
Right.
So,
They had a good Game 6, especially that third quarter. Him and Harden, well, the whole team really. That was one of the best quarters of the series. But Harden played 46.5 minutes in that game. So, and then to go play less than 48 hours in altitude definitely played a role. But yeah, it was disappointing for the whole team. Obviously, I loved it, but disappointing effort for the Clippers, who up until that point wasn't really lacking in effort.
But great season for them though too, because they were projected to be a bottom 5 team in the NBA this year. And it was like once Paul George left, so props to them, because they didn't even have their pick this year because OKC has it, I believe. So I mean, they were just playing. They couldn't tank, so they played to the highest of their potential, I think.
Yeah, decent season for them.
Good for Zubac. He really made improvements this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kawhi, if he could stay healthy. And then Harden, I don't know.
Norman Powell, didn't even talk about him.
Norman Powell, Powell too. They got a good team. They're going to need someone else, though, I think.
Yeah.
Just because Kawhi isn't like...
If they can get a power forward, watch out.
Giannis?
Yeah, that'd be...
You never
know.
know.
That'd be crazy. I'm just very intrigued to see what happens with Giannis. That's going to be a big storyline. But we can talk about the other series in the West and kind of briefly talk about Game 7 between the Rockets and Warriors. Now the Warriors obviously won Sunday night, and they play later tonight. So by the time you guys are listening, they will have played their Game 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But what did you guys make of Game 7? Obviously, it was an inexperience. So you showed up pretty much all series. It was impressive for the Rockets to get to Game 7 after being down 3-1, and then obviously Jalen Green, in his words, shit the bed.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. And I'm glad he manned up and said it, because a lot of players wouldn't do that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. He's a young player, and I'm glad he's noticed like his faults in that series, and he's the biggest reason they lost.
Yeah, kind of hard not to notice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I watched every single game, every single minute of this series, essentially, and the same thing kept popping up. The Rockets just don't have that guy,
right?
Like that scorer on offense to just like take over a game,
right?
Alperen Sengun had a great series, but he can only do so much in the post,
right?
And Game 7 they adjusted and they put Kevon Looney in a little bit more, rustled him up a little bit, because like Steven Adams and Sengun. They're doing the double big lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And Adams had the best plus-minus, in the entire game on Game 6. So they responded with putting in Looney and Draymond, putting in Post in a little bit. But, yeah, the Rockets just need another guy. They need Jalen Green to improve. Because there's too many times I saw Jalen Green just drive to the basket and just like do that Ja Morant thing where he just falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Just tries to do something really athletic but just can't do anything.
Yeah, he just tries to, like you said, drive, and he out-athletic everybody. But what he needs to do, I saw a good tweet, what he needs to do is find some sort of like floater game. And if he can get that down, then he's going to be a very tough player to deal with. But question for you guys. Would you said it perfectly, Hef, it was a glaring hole in the Rockets where they didn't have a guy that you could just give the ball to and go get a bucket. That guy who can just make things happen on his own. Would you trade Jalen Green and maybe a couple other assets for a sort of star player like that, or would you wait and see what you have with Jalen Green? Do you think he has the makings of a star player?
I would wait another year personally because you do still have Jalen Green, and let's not forget Reed Shepherd too. They did draft him.
Can't forget about Reed Shepherd.
They did draft him pretty early, so you never know if he could become good too.
Sure.
So it's only been 1 year.
Sure.
And I would give it one more year with this team to see like what's going on. But I would in this offseason get a couple shooters because I think like when you have Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, like Sengun and Steven Adams all in the same court, you have no one who could shoot the basketball.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're going up against the team with Steph Curry, you're going to have to match something with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're never going to match him one-on-one, but you got to get –
Yeah.
when they just pack the paint on you and Amen Thompson's like wide open from mid-range, you're like, what are you going to do?
Right.
You need someone to spread the floor.
Yeah.
So I think this team could work. I think they are the best team, the top 3 defensive team in the NBA. I just think they need to get some people like what they did for Cade, space the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be and look how much better Cade looks.
Yeah.
So I think if they got some shooters and space the floor around, I think who knows?
Sure.
And if Jabari Smith takes that next step.
He shot the ball pretty well in this series too.
Big fan of Jabari Smith. He has an opportunity. I don't think he's going to be like a number 1 option on a championship team, but he could be a very good third option.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, obviously you got Van Fleet who played well in the end of the series, and I would try and move on from Dylan Brooks, or if he would. I mean, I really like his game, but I don't want him as a starter. I think he's more of a bench piece, especially with all the guys they have in Houston. I'd rather have Jabari Smith start than Dylan Brooks.
Agreed. I definitely got to find a way to get Jabari in the starting lineup. And then on the flip side, the Warriors who won that series, I don't know about you guys, but I find myself rooting for the Warriors to win it all. I would love to see Jimmy win a ring. Buddy Hield showed up big time in Game 7.
Yeah, Buddy Hield game.
And then
3 points.
I mean, we're blessed to see a whole playoff series with Draymond going against Rudy Gobert. I cannot wait just to watch that series, just for that matchup.
They're going to need Kayvon Looney to play a lot because obviously Gobert and Julius Randle are going to give the Warriors a lot of mismatch problems.
Yeah.
And we saw that last series with the T-Wolves going against the Lakers, and the Lakers are bigger than the Warriors. So,
but I think the Warriors have just more answers.
Yeah,
I think they just have more answers. I mean, obviously you have Steph Curry who's gonna do his thing. But I trust Jimmy a lot in the playoffs, and I think he's an incredible number 2 option for him. Mm-hmm. And they have the championship pedigree too.
Yeah, Podziemski's had a good playoffs too.
Yeah, he's been very good shooting the ball well. So I think we've seen it all these playoffs. The experience factor, and like the Wolves have experience. They made the WCF last year.
Yep.
But the Warriors just seem like they are locked in and they're ready, poised for a run here.
You have them. Do you have what would your Warriors Wolves series prediction be?
Warriors in 6.
Wow.
I can see it go 7, but I'm just saying 6 because.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just because.
Their length gives them a lot of problems.
I 100% agree. I just can't see the Warriors winning this series. I've been wrong pretty much all playoffs. So, it could be the Ryan jinx, but I just cannot see. I just can't see him win it. If the Wolves play anything like they did against the Lakers, I just can't. I almost can't see anyone beating them. Like, that's how good they look. They got people coming off the bench with length, and they got Jaden McDaniels has been balling. Fucking Anthony Edwards playing like a psycho, most competitive player in the league.
Yeah.
Gobert and Randall down in the paint. A lot of teams can't contend with that, and definitely not the Warriors. Mike Conley being the facilitator he is, with the veteran experience.
Yep.
Naz Reid, I haven't forgot about him. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And I'm Dante DiVincenzo. Fuck, man. Like, they're, they finally got it going. This is like how they were supposed to look like a little bit in the regular season, but it took them a little bit to mesh.
Hef just gave you a guy off, Mabin.
Was a guy off.
Just like naming players.
Name for name.
Shit, what is you going to do about Quentin Post?
Dude, I'm not joking. I've watched every Warriors games this playoffs, and I don't think I've seen him make a 3. And I think I've watched, like, maybe I'm on my phone. I just have not seen him make a shot in my life.
Listen, he's due. Watch him go off.
That's crazy.
Against the Wolves here.
No, but
yeah, you guys make great points. I 100% agree. I think the Wolves are the deeper team. They're probably the better team overall. But you can say the same thing about the Rockets, to be honest, and the Warriors pull it off.
Well, yeah. Warriors have Steph Curry and Jimmy buckets, so you can never count them out. I'm not saying like the series is over.
You're gonna need to do like Buddy Hield's gonna have to go for 30 for a couple games.
Sure.
You're just gonna need your role players to play well because the Wolves role players will.
Yeah.
Because they have so many rotating pieces.
Who do you guys like in Game 1 here? Coming up in an hour or so.
I like the Wolves. Yeah.
The Wolves for sure. The Warriors will play better in Game 2, whether they win or not. I'm not sure, but
also
this is tough. A day rest, and they're older. Like, obviously, it didn't affect the Nuggets too much. It did for most of the game, but they're a younger team. Wolves are almost a week off against the Warriors, who just had a long, grueling series. So I think they kill them tonight. I don't think every game will be a blowout, but I think this game's going to go a long way.
Yeah, rest is very important. Bean mentioned that. I mentioned that last episode. I think it's very important in the NBA playoffs or any playoffs in general when there's 7 games. So, but I think it won't really fuck with you the first 1 or 2 games. I think it fucks with you over the long period of time because, they probably, the Warriors are feeling good. They just came off a series winning, and now they're going to a different building. They got all that adrenaline coming, I think come Game 3 and 4 is when it's really the fatigue's really gonna hit them because they've been playing playoff tough basketball for a month straight. Every other fucking game.
Which in turn could be a good thing. That could mean that you're in like a rhythm or you're in the zone because you look at I think rest is. Feast or famine, really, because you look at the Thunder. Like the Thunder had so much rest, and they still lost game 1. And the Nuggets just came off of Game 7 themselves, and a grueling series, and they were able to pull it out. And
but like I said, I don't think it affects it in the first 1 or 2 games.
Right. I got you.
Yeah,
I do agree with you on that point.
But yeah, I'm excited. Every round 2 matchup's fucking great, man.
I was gonna say this. I think 3 of the 4 series are gonna be really close, and I was gonna say I think the Pacers are gonna blow out the Cavs, but we're looking at Game 1 right now.
Game 2.
And the Cavs are Game 2. My bad. And the Cavs are up 32-15 with 3 of their starters out of the game.
I think it's because the Pacers are wearing those warm-up jerseys that say "Yes, sirs."
Yeah, the yes, sirs are pretty bad.
That's the most Tyrese Halliburton warm-up I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I did want to give a shout-out to the Pacers because I do think the Pacers are arguably the best, not the most talented or the most skilled, but they play the best team basketball that I've seen thus far. Like, they just move the ball so well. And
very unselfish.
My thing with like Halliburton is like, I think he's a good player, but they're not. He's not like. I don't think he's a a superstar. I think he's a star in this league, an all-star in this league, but his team is really what is great. I don't think he's like he's ever going to be an all-time player, but he's playing on a very, very talented, a very, very well-oiled machine. And a lot of props to Rick Carlisle, who's been a great coach in this league, who won a championship in this league.
If you could compare Tyrese Haliburton to one player, modern day or past day, like any point guard, I guess, who would you compare him to?
I don't know. My mind went to like James Harden, or he's not quite the scorer Harden is, but he's a great facilitator. Rondo, but he's a better shooter than Rondo. But his shooting's like a little inconsistent. Like he sometimes hits like unbelievable shots, but then he'll go through stretches. He'll have games where he scores like 17 points and goes for like 6 for 17 shooting.
Yeah. You want to know the guy I thought of?
Who?
I don't think he's as good as him, but I was gonna say Steve Nash.
Yeah, he's a little bit better shooter than Nash is.
Because I think Nash was still a good shooter, like a pretty good shooter. Decent. But like him and Haliburton can both go pull up like 15 assists.
I like that. That's a good comparison.
They both like shoot relatively okay, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, and then they might have a game where like they score 7 points and 13 assists.
Yeah,
just like Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Yep. Like that was kind of my.
It's a good comp.
Yeah.
It's a good comp.
I wanted to see if you would pull that out too. That would have been fucking wild.
No, I didn't even. The Nash didn't even cross my head, but that's a good one.
Yeah, but that just goes to show how much better players are now. You know, because Steve Nash was like almost like a fucking 101 back then. You know.
Yeah.
But like now you get like a player that's maybe not even top 25 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's wrong, but like somewhere, like not even in the top 10, and you're comparing him to like a Steve Nash. It's crazy. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I forgot. We were just watching a little bit of we have the game 2 on. Cavs are stepping up their defense without Garland, no Mobley, no Garland, and no Hunter. Obviously, the Pacers. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Obviously, they have a lot of. They're like scoring. They got 8 guys that can score in double digits. 7 of them average double digits in the regular season. So they showed that in game 1, and obviously their pace is great. But
no pun intended.
Exactly. But. Obviously, the Cavs tonight, so far, so good. They're showing why they won 64 games, why their defense was one of the best. Wow, they're up by 20 now. That's crazy. Why they had one of the best defenses, and their defense really did get them to 64 wins. So I said I think I picked Cleveland in 7 to begin this series. And then I thought the Pacers were in control. I mean, they still have home court, but I thought they would be doing this to Cleveland tonight after.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of this game.
Yeah, but they still have home court, and all those guys are day to day. I think Garland is going to be out a little bit longer. He's missed the last 3 games now, 4 games. But Spider's off to a great start, and he's going to have to do this. So if he does this the whole series, then Cleveland, I think, wins. So I think Spider is the key because he is the best player in this series, and I think they'll win if he plays this way. And they're spreading the rock a little bit, and Cleveland has good shooters. So if they obviously their defense is held up better today, and if you can keep them at a relatively slow pace, they're going to be in control of the series.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you for the going back a little bit. What's your playoff or your round 2 prediction between the Wolves and Warriors?
Yeah, me and Maben are going to be different here. Fuck, I was debating Wolves in 5 or 6.
Me too.
Whoa.
You were too?
Yeah, I got 5 or 6.
I'm gonna go 6 just because Steph Curry.
Sure.
You know, and Jimmy Butler. I feel like it's disrespectful not to give him 2 at least.
Yeah.
But, you know, like the mismatches to me are just very, very there, like as you said. But, yeah, I would be shocked if the Warriors moved on. I really would. And I will say this too, and it's not even because like I'm known to like not like the Warriors. I just can't see them winning the championship at all. Like I would put them out of the 8 teams left. I'd give OKC a better chance. I'd give every team in the West a better chance. And I'd give the Celtics, Cavs,
Pacers.
fuck, dude. I don't know. I seriously just like their role players are just gonna have to perform. Like, cause like you know, it can't all just be on Steph and Jimmy. And sure, they got it done in the first series, but you're not gonna play against the Rockets where you don't have any player who could shoot a 3 every series. You know?
Yeah, and their lack of heights eventually it'll probably catch up to them in this series.
Yeah, and this could bite me in the ass. I wouldn't be shocked, but I just want to see them play a team like the Wolves.
Yeah, you're definitely right. They need their role players to show up. The thing that gives me confidence is that they did in the first round. Pajemski showed up pretty much every single game, hit his shots. He's gonna have to if they want a chance to beat the Wolves. And then you know, Buddy Hield's, if he can go off a couple games and give you 5-6 threes, that's really all you need from him. And you're gonna get the defensive aspect from them with Draymond leading that charge. So I just think they had the height advantage is glaring on paper, but I just think the Warriors with Draymond and that defense, they're going to find a way to make things uncomfortable for the Wolves. Yeah, better than the Lakers. The Lakers just didn't put up a fight. So
and Draymond like is bigger than he looks too. You know, like,
man,
he plays big.
He's an incredible defender. He is this generation's Rodman.
Absolutely. His attitude too. They're just tougher than the Lakers, so it'll be more competitive. But I think, I mean,
that's the thing about the Lakers. It's like the Lakers, like what are their best defender is what, LeBron James, who's 39.
Yeah,
who's 40. My bad. He's 40.
Get it right.
Forgot.
Yeah, I think we just got like Luka horny, like right when he got to the Lakers.
Of course. How could you not get horny watching Luka?
Yeah, you know, like our Slovenian son just playing basketball,
yeah,
dribbling that ball.
You guys see that he's committed to winning now?
Why? What happened?
Is that what he said in the dinner with JJ Redick?
Yeah, he's committed to.
Like, what do you mean lose weight?
Well, yeah, that's really all he needs to do.
Is that what he said he was gonna do?
I don't think he said that. Like, I'm gonna lose weight, but
are we sure he's gonna lose weight? Like, I don't see him because he wants to be that big. Maybe not, obviously get fat, but I think he wants to be a little bit bulkier, just the style of his game.
But you look at like his rookie highlights, and he just moves
so fast
differently. It looks like you're watching like a 15-year-old vet, 15-year vet when you watch him today compared to his highlights from his rookie season.
It was crazy to see.
Yeah,
I almost didn't even remember it.
And he played better. He looked like a better player when he was a rookie than he is now.
I don't know about
defensively,
that.
Maybe
defensively, absolutely.
I think the only reason he would need to lose weight is to be quicker on defense.
And that's the only hole in his game.
Yeah,
that's the only thing he needs to fix.
Yeah, because I still think he doesn't need the weight on him to do what he does offensively. I think it'll just because his main move is crossing people up and then getting the defender on his back and letting him ride. I don't know how else to say it, not sus, but let him ride your back, and then you just either go up, lob it to whoever, or just take the floater. So I just he did that in his rookie year. I was watching the highlight tape. So I think it would only be beneficial. Don't lose too much weight, just enough to where you could get that speed,
He's not a traffic cone on defense.
Yeah, because it's very noticeable. He's out of shape too. He's just letting guys.
And you look at what Jokic did. Jokic lost some weight. He's still big, but he was a hefty dude before he won the championship, and then he lost some weight thanks to COVID, and he looks better than ever.
That's right. I forgot he got COVID. It was like in the bubble or something.
Something like that.
He lost like so much weight, and then he obviously put it
And
back
it's
on.
noticeable. It's noticeable how much better he moves.
Yeah,
and it's so much noticeable of how much better Luka moved back in the. You say back in the day, it was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, 2019.
But you need your best player to be active on defense, and when you see your best player, I don't think he's dogging it, but he has no. He doesn't have the foot speed or the stamina or whatever it is to play defense.
And it's not motivational for the other players when your best player is just like getting ran by.
No, when you see your best player given all out effort on defense, that makes you want to do the same.
Like Ant.
Yeah, and then the opposite if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't have the rim protectors like for when Luka's a player gets blows by him.
Right. They were able to sort of mask it with the Mavs because they had
Lively
and
Gafford,
but really, really exposed. I just hope he figures that out. Just get a nutritionist. You have all the money in the world. Go get a chef and eat the right things. It's not that hard.
Yeah. We have one more series to touch on. The Knicks took game one. Took game one from Boston in Boston after being down 20 points
in
the
game.
Third. Yeah, the big thing was 19 of the 20 shots that Boston took in the third were threes.
Ugh.
They took 60 threes overall, including overtime, and missed 45 of them. I mean, at some point, just drive to the rack. Like they took,
100%.
They were jacking up threes at the end of the game when it was game was tied, or like just. All you need is a 2, or if you get fouled, you're getting free throws.
100%, and I'm saying the same thing. 100% agree with you, Bean, and I'm saying it right to Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, Jason Tatum, with 6'1" Jalen Brunson on him, wants to settle for 3-point shots instead of going to the rack.
I don't understand that.
It makes no sense.
But the whole team was doing it, not just him. And it's like he was like trying to prove that, I'm gonna make a game-winning 3. It's just like, bro, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just go get the win.
And that's how they play. Like, that's their style. Yeah. I get it. Like, they're going to shoot as many threes as they possibly can. But if they're not falling, you have to be able to adjust. That's what makes great teams, that they're able to play any style in order to win. And they need to, if the shots aren't falling, go to the rim. You have 2 incredible players who can get to the rack on their own and create their own shots. And
when you're missing that many threes, they're just trying to make you shoot threes.
Right, exactly.
I know Celtics fans will probably chalk it up as a fluke because, they missed 45 threes, and it was an NBA playoff record set. They've had it for 4 days. Timberwolves had it against the Lakers. They shot 7 for 47.
Wow.
And, they won the game. But, I know Celtics fans and, maybe the Celtics players were like, we're not going to miss 45 threes again. We were in that game. Made it to overtime. But I do agree. I do 100% agree. Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both of them, 2 of the best drivers of the basketball in the game.
Right.
Jaylen Brown's big body and then Tatum doing his spin move. Like, them 2 are both very good at what they do. And then you could kick it out. Like, what they're doing is they're just, like, playing from outside the perimeter. Like, no one's, like, Tatum or Brown, like, just drive the ball, and then you can look it out for the shot and get an open shot. Like, or like see what the defense is doing. If they're going to double you, then pass it out. If they're not, then just take it up.
Exactly.
But like, I totally agree, but I do hope the Knicks win this series just because it makes the Pistons look better.
I love the quote. I think Josh Hart had the quote where they were asking him about the fouls or refs or whatever, and he was like, we just got beat by bats for 6 games.
That was so cool.
We're gonna bring the physicality ourselves.
We're gonna bring the bats to this.
Yeah. That was a great shout out to the Pistons.
That's just what they wanted to develop.
Yeah,
and it's really cool because Steph Curry, who was guarded by Amen Thompson, and Jalen Brunson, who was guarded by Asar Thompson for the majority of the series, they both shouted out the Thompson twins.
Yeah,
by how good their defense was. So that was really cool to see, and I just. I can't wait for the Pistons next year with Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart back, and hopefully improve a lot of our 3-point shooting, like outside of, Beasley. I think he'll be fine.
Is there anything else you want to talk about for the Knicks and Celtics before we get into the Pistons?
I do want to say one more thing.
Yeah, just like if just don't jack up that many threes, and Boston will be fine.
100%.
Because they'll learn. Sorry, Huff. They'll learn from that, and they were already talking about that in the post game. But yeah, at some point, like they were baiting you to shoot that many threes. So
right.
Just go and drive. And I know obviously New York's a good defensive team, but they got the star power to play better.
Especially Tatum and Brown, and I get that Brown's a little banged up. So I'm really looking at Jason Tatum. Like he can get any shot he wants on the court.
Yep.
Go be aggressive. Don't settle for threes. That's exactly like you said, Bean. It's exactly what the Knicks want. They want you settling for the threes. You're gonna beat them most in the paint. So don't play into their hand and be aggressive. And if you want to be the best player on the planet, you got to show it.
One thing I wanted to say is I want to shout out OG Anunoby.
Mm-hmm.
OG Anunoby is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. I also did see a stat when OG Anunoby takes 14-plus field goals, they're undefeated.
Whoa.
So, he just is locked down so far in the game one, Tatum and Brown. And then he shut down Cade as good as he could do, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, and he shoots that side 3-pointer so well.
Yeah.
And he just has that how do I say this without being sus again? I'm just saying like
go ahead and be sus. That's okay.
Like that he has that dream NBA body that you want, like LeBron, like what he looks like.
Yeah. Great body.
No, not many people could get that, but OG Anunoby, like he has the size.
Yeah.
And he has, the
length.
The length and
the girth.
Versatility to defend and shoot.
Yep.
So but
and then he held, I think you sent the stat half. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, and Derek White were 1 for 5 or 1 for 15
Sheesh.
when Anunoby was guarding them. Combined 1 for 15.
What's your guys' prediction on the series now?
I think it's gonna be a tough series. I think it will go 7. The Knicks, they built their team to beat the Celtics. They went out and got 2 wing stoppers, and you brought up OG, but another guy who had a great game was Mikal Bridges. Hit a big shot in the corner. That corner 3 actually banked in. He only had 8.
Did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. But he played like 51 minutes. Didn't chip in a whole lot offensively, but he hit a timely shot and played great defense. And Brunson is just unbelievable. He's an unbelievable player. Won the Clutch Player of the League award for a reason. Cat needs to play a bit better. He needs to be more aggressive. But
yeah, absolutely.
Porzingis, may not be playing game 2 as well.
But then you lose Porzingis. Porzingis is just like a caveat. You don't really need. They showed it last year. They didn't really need Porzingis to win it all.
Right.
So who do you got if it's going 7, Knicks or Celtics?
I'm gonna say Celtics in 7. I'm not gonna bet against the Celtics quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
But game 1 was a concern. They had that game in the bag. They should have won that game. They need. I understand that that's how you want to play, and you feel like you can outshoot anybody. But if the shots aren't falling, you have to be able to pivot. You got to be able to make in-game adjustments. And I think Joe Mazzulla is a great coach, and I think he'll find a way to get it done.
Yeah, especially because the Knicks, obviously, their rotation is very thin, and their starters play heavy minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw last night, the Knicks, they're like dead tired. They're barely running up the court when they got the ball on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So the Celtics will make the needed adjustments. We talked about the Thunder earlier. Like, let's see if they can do it. I know Boston is going to rebound tomorrow and win. I have Boston in 6. I just think the Knicks need a little bit more depth because they're going to be dead tired at the end of these games. It was impressive to get the win last night.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Al Horford is going to be fine filling in for Porzingis. So I still like Boston in 6, and it's I don't think it's time to panic just yet.
What about you, Hef?
Ah, man. So, like, I got the Celtics. I got the Celtics in 6 or 7. I'll go 7 just because the Knicks stole a big game. But I would be concerned if I was a Celtics fan. Just like I'd be concerned if I was an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. And the Cavs. I think every team should be. I think there's no team left in this NBA playoffs that I can't see winning a series.
Other than the Warriors.
Yeah, other than the Warriors, probably. But I mean, once again, I said like it can happen, but like just because if Steph and Jimmy go berserk, they can win a series. Or if the role players like continue to drop 30, I just want to see what they do against a team that could shoot the ball.
Sure.
And the Wolves are a little bit worse defensively, but I think they're almost just about the same. And they're a way better offensive team. So I just want to see what they do against the Wolves' length, and I'm excited for that. I'm probably most excited for that series, and I'm excited for every fucking series.
Yeah.
But probably most excited for that one, and Celtics and Knicks probably. Those two I think are going to be great because I just like want to see what the Knicks are going to be. See how good the Knicks are made of after they had that tough series against Detroit, because I think it shows a lot about Detroit too.
Definitely.
If the Knicks can go out and win this series, that Detroit series, we're here to stay. I think we're here to stay either way, but I just think it shows the league like, wow, those Pistons played them tougher than the Celtics. Like imagine hearing that.
That'd be crazy.
But yeah, I got OKC Denver is tough, but I'm gonna. I don't know. That's probably the toughest series for me. But yeah, I think I got Celtics and Celtics in the finals against, I'll say, the Wolves or the Thunder. Wolves or Thunder probably
Coming out of the West.
What do you think, Bean?
I still like the Celtics, or I like the Cavs if they're injuries, if they can get their injured guys back. But if they can't, then I like the Celtics. And then out of the West, I'm still going Thunder, but I'm still hopeful the Nuggets can do it. That was very telling. But
at first you had the Cavs, right? When we did
Cavs.
Our predictions.
I'm changing it to Celtics right now.
Okay.
Just temporarily, if the Cleveland guys can come back, then I like Cleveland again. But Mobley fucked up his ankle, and Garland has turf toe or something like that, and Hunter dislocated his thumb. So those aren't minor injuries. So I think just like hockey, I think all these series are going to be very good, very entertaining, and I think the majority of them go 6 or longer.
Maben, what do you think? Are you sticking? Well, actually, now that the Lakers are gone, who do you got making the finals? What's your finals prediction right now?
I find myself rooting for the Warriors, to be honest. So I just love Jimmy. I think Jimmy, Steph, and Draymond are just going to find a way. They may not. I think you said it perfectly. They have probably the worst. They don't have a bad roster by any means, but top down, probably the worst roster in the West. But I just think they find a way no matter what with those three guys, and just the championship pedigree, the championship experience shows in the playoffs. I think they win this series. It will be a tough one. I think it's going to be against the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, and then in the East. I like the way the Cavs have responded. If they can pull this off, I feel really good about them winning the series, especially with 3 guys out. And I still think the Celtics win. However, I want an asterisk. If the Knicks win the series, I think they make the finals.
I 100% agree. I'm glad you said that too, because I did want to mention that. I think whoever wins that Celtics-Knicks series is going to make the finals.
Agreed.
100%. I 100% agree. Only thing that worries me with the Knicks, because they have those guys, they have the killers, they have everything.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing that worries me is their depth that Bean mentioned earlier. Like, I don't know how long they could last playing just the same guys, like 40 to 50 minutes every game. That's my only concern. Like, if they had like just a smidgen better of a bench, you know, I would be having the Knicks winning this series because I like the way the Knicks play a lot, and
they're fun to watch.
And I just love watching. You know, when Brunson's not playing against your team, he's really fun.
Oh my god, it's so much better. I could not hate Jalen Brunson more just a week ago, and then now I find myself rooting for him. So
yeah, I'm rooting for him as well, to be honest.
Yeah, we can. We'll go there a little bit. Obviously, a devastating loss last Thursday. Brilliant effort for the Pistons against a very seasoned team in the Knicks, and obviously the experienced one in the long run. But no, I'm excited and can't wait for next year. But what were your guys' reactions to last Thursday?
I mean, immediate reaction was just I was sad the season was over. I love this team and they play so hard, and it sucks that we lost. But still a very great season. I mean, compared to where we were just a year ago, it's just a completely different world, a completely different outlook on this team. Such a bright future, and I'm proud of the guys of how they played. And really, they outplayed the Knicks for a lot of that series. They just, you know, when crunch time comes and when that experience really matters, that's when our inexperience showed. Interesting offseason coming up. We have a few free agents, big free agents. I wanted to pose a question to you guys. If you could only sign two of these three players, who are the two guys you want to bring back? The three players are Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroeder, and Tim Hardaway.
I would keep Beasley and Schroeder.
Yeah, two bench guys.
Agreed.
I'd try and find Hardaway's replacement starting wise. Maybe get a little bit longer, like a 3-and-D guy. I think they definitely need one more 3-and-D guy.
Yeah,
that can, like, you know, is a knockdown shooter.
So, been thinking about it since the season ended. What a perfect offseason would look like for the Pistons. Totally agree with both of you guys. I think Schroeder showed how valuable he is to this team down the stretch of the regular season and in the playoffs, especially. And then Beasley just hit, the franchise record 3, so obviously would love to bring him back. But I think bringing those guys back and finding a guy to not necessarily replace Tim Hardaway, but just adding another guy. And I think the perfect guy would be like a Bobby Portis. We get a little bit bigger. We have some size coming off. He's not the player he was maybe 2-3 years ago, but he's still an energy guy. He can still give you, 12 to 15 points off the bench. And I think we need a bit more size. And he fits the culture perfectly. He's such a gritty player. So I would love to see Bobby Portis. I don't want either. There's two lanes that I'd be okay with. I'd either be okay with one move to replace Tim Hardaway Jr. with another guy, or take a big swing. Go get someone.
Oh, wait, really? Like trade assets, future assets?
No, that's the only thing.
Okay.
So my only caveat is take a big swing
Like a free agent.
if you're not giving up any of Cunningham, Ivy, Duran, Stu, Asar, and Holland.
Okay, well, it's going to be hard to make a big move if you
Well,
don't give up one of those guys.
let me pose you this question, Ryan. If there is one, I'm thinking of an athlete, an NBA player, that is an elite player. I think everybody would agree he's an elite player. But our team's willing really to give up a whole lot for him just because of, do you want an aging star who, hasn't really worked out on the last few teams that he's been on?
Kevin Durant?
Bingo. It would take a lot to get him, but I don't think teams are going to be lining up and ready to trade away their farm for him. So if you can get a Kevin Durant for, I don't know,
still have
you
to
trade.
give up at least one of those
Yeah,
players.
that's the thing. Just for like for the cap. To
Well,
work.
you can trade Tobias.
Oh, that's true.
You can add a Marcus Sasser, and we have 4 picks, first-round picks to.
I wouldn't do it.
Why are we laughing about Marcus Sasser? He's a dog.
But the Suns aren't going to want to do that. I'm talking about from the Suns' perspective.
He could be one of the best point guards in the league.
Yeah.
Only if P's in attendance.
But they also have 4 first-round picks to trade up as well. So, I mean.
I don't want to give up any of the picks.
Why?
I think I love our team right now.
I do too.
I know you do too. I just picks. Yeah, there's so many teams that have traded their picks.
Sure.
And it didn't work out.
Sure.
And then you're just fucked.
Sure.
So like I don't want that to happen to us. And then when it comes to some of our players that are going to end on their contracts and they realize we don't have a future and we're not looking like as good as we thought we would.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they wouldn't want to re-sign. And then like I think the big thing is like I've seen so many teams like trade for a star and give up all their picks.
Yeah.
And it just like they're fucked forever. Like or just sign a big player like the Suns.
Yeah.
Or like the Clippers. They don't have a ton of picks anymore. The Bucks with Damian Lillard. Like they're. I just don't want to be stuck in that, and I don't know if KD would, win us a championship. I think we should just keep the group we have now and let them develop. Because I don't think we're far off right now.
Yeah, I would agree with this, and I think that's the most likely route that we take, and I'd be perfectly fine with that. I would love to see how these players turn out to be, and how they grow together. It would have to be the right guy, and the reason why I lean towards Kevin Durant as the only guy is I saw a good tweet here recently, specifically on Durant, and it's like I feel like if I'm Kevin Durant, I would want to go to a team where I'm not necessarily like the number one guy. He's the number one. He would be the number one scoring option in this scenario. But I still think Cade is the number one, like he's the leader of that team still.
Yeah.
So it's not like KD has to come in and be like the leader of the team as well. You already have one, and he can sort of just be, who he is. And there's some ties there. Obviously, Devin Booker, who's KD's teammate, who's from Michigan. He's not from Detroit. So I'm sure he's in his air about how great Detroit is. So a bit of a stretch. Obviously, I don't expect it to happen, but that would be the one guy where I would be okay with selling off some of our pieces and our picks in order to get, because I think it's a good fit.
What would your haul be for him, like a realistic haul? Like Tobias?
Again, I don't think the market's going to be like that. I don't think teams are going to be lining up to trade the farm for him. So, and I also think with Matt Ishbia, he'd be more willing to work with a team like Detroit if KD wants to go play for the Pistons. I think he would do right by KD. I think KD's earned it. So if he wants to be a Piston, I think Matt Ishbia would be more willing to, settle for a decent package than the best package out there. So like I said, I would not want to make the move if it's giving up somebody, any of those 7 guys that I named. So if they're asking for any of those guys, then the deal's off.
They're definitely going to be asking for one of those guys. Maybe 2, maybe 3.
But you got to think about it. Like KD's gone. Like they're going to trade him. What team would give up their young players for him?
I think I could see the Rockets, maybe.
And Rockets
Thunder
have picks too.
Thunder have like 1 million picks still. If they don't win it all this year, I could see them doing it. Who else? I'm trying to think. I don't know, teams that have teams that are playoff teams right now that who else? Not the Knicks.
But then if you're the Thunder, are you willing to give up like a J-Dub?
Yeah, for a KD.
But the thing is like
or a Chet.
That's a way bigger haul than what you offered for the Pistons.
Right, but what I'm saying is, would you be willing to do that? I don't know if they'd be willing to do that.
Yeah.
So then if it's not a J-Dub or a Chet, who is it, like Case and Wallace?
it would more so be about their picks because I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they could just give up like 6 picks, but would they be willing to give up 6 picks for KD? Is KD
Well, the Thunder are getting to that point where they have so many dudes that like they're not gonna be able to pay them all.
also would the Thunder would they want KD back? I don't know if they would want him back.
It would be pretty cool to see.
It would be super cool, but I don't know if there's bad blood there or if KD would want to go there. I don't know if does KD have a no trade clause? I have to assume he does.
I think he does, yeah.
Would KD want to go back to OKC?
Definitely for a winner.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
KD's a weird dude. I don't know. It's hard to get inside his head.
KD's for me right now, like as weird as it is to say, it's more like it kind of reminds me of Aaron Rodgers.
A little bit.
You know, like we're like
a little bit.
I don't see a lot of teams wanting him.
Right, exactly.
This time.
That's really what I see in the scenario. The reason why I'm saying it's a possibility is because I don't see many teams like the Rockets.
Goal.
Big goal. Was that Protas? Yes, it was.
Come on, Mabes. There we go.
Yes, it was.
Finally on the board.
Your pros?
Prots. Like the Rockets. Like I don't see the Rockets. Like, are you willing to trade Jalen Green? I would, but would they be willing to? I don't know. Are you willing to give up some big time pieces in like Atari Eason or Jabari Smith? You know, are you ready to give up on Reed Shepherd?
I think the Rockets are the team that makes the most sense just because it's their biggest fault.
It does make the most
Rockets would
sense.
trade anyone except Green or Sengun.
Yeah, I think Sengun is definitely untouchable. Green, I'm not sure. Maybe he just had a bad.
Ooh, 5 hole.
I'm obviously not big.
We're
on
also forgetting that he's not even going to be the biggest free asset
Giannis
on the market. Yeah, it's going to be Giannis if he goes. If he wants to go.
I saw this thing, but this could be cap, but like I saw it on Twitter. It was like he'd love to go to the Heat, Knicks, or Lakers. I don't know if that's true, but I did see that somewhere. Also didn't really check the account, but that would be but it did get a lot of likes on it, so I don't know if it's real or not. But that would be cool. I'd love for him to go to the Heat. That'd be sick. But I also don't want him to be on the Heat because then he's in the East still, and then I'd rather have all the stars go to the West.
Yeah.
Well. So,
I think the Bucks will do whatever they can to get him out to the West.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Ooh, what a pass!
I just got a couple of quick things just to mention. Our Tigers first in the AL, playing hot. They're a wagon. Their game got rained out today, but they play the Rockies 3-game series, which is the worst team in the league.
So free dubs essentially.
Yeah, and that means they'll go 7-3 potentially on their West Coast trip if they win all 3. And then Aaron Judge is hitting 420, over 420 with 11 homers. He's already minus 500 to win MVP.
Torpedo bats.
It's not even. Well, he doesn't use the torpedo bat.
Yeah, no, I'm joking.
It is crazy though. And so he's favorite to win his 3rd MVP in 4 seasons. And then I just had to shout out the Inter Milan Barcelona game today. That was unbelievable. That was the game I told you to turn on CBS, Maven.
Who won?
Inter Milan won 4-3 today and 7-6 on aggregate. So how it's a Champions League. So how they do it in the knockout stages. From the round of 16 to the semifinals, you play 1 game at home and 1 game on the road. And so it's aggregate, so you take the combined scores.
Okay.
Last week, Barcelona was down 2-0 at home and tied it up 3-3 going into today. Today, they were down 2-0, 5-3 on aggregate, scored 3 goals in a row to go up 6-5. And then Inter Milan scored right before the game was over to force extra time. And scored in extra time to win 4-3. And so that was a crazy game. And then my boys, Arsenal, play tomorrow. And
Who do they play?
They play PSG on the road. They're down 1-0, but they're only down a goal, so it's not the end of the world.
So if they lose that game, they're out?
Yeah, if they lose, they're out. And if they're tied, like it was today, they go to extra time. And if you win... If you can score in extra time, you win. But if it's still tied, then you go to penalties.
What time's that game?
3:00.
Nice.
AM or PM?
PM.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only a 5-hour difference in Europe, maybe.
Okay.
So yeah, just that was crazy. And then Scotty Scheffler won with 31 under, his first one of the year.
Jesus,
that's unbelievable.
The guy that came in second, that was like obviously his best. He shot a 23 under and still like was eight shots off. So
couldn't beat Scotty.
Yeah.
Give me a PGA winner. Give me your winner.
Well, Scotty's getting hot, but you know who I'm going with.
Rory?
I'm going with Rory McIlroy. Quail Hollows, won there 4 times. He's got the monkey off of his back. I think Rory wins. I really do. I really think this is a really chalky answer, but I really think it's going to be Rory or Scotty.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you, asked me, I think in one of the shorts half, who I had winning the PGA, and it was Scotty. So, obviously PGA is next week, and he's getting hot at the right time. So, and in terms of like his standards, especially at Augusta, he had shot at 8 or 9 under, but he still came top 5. So he's back to playing well, and it's probably going to be one of those two guys. If not, it's going to be a guy like Xander who won last year, or Bryson. So those guys are they're playing so well right now on the biggest stages. So I can't see a surprise winner, even though usually typically it is a PGA Maven who. If you're going to get a surprise winner in one of the majors, it is a PGA. But, like
Homa.
Homa.
Give me Max Homa.
Phil Mickelson won it when he was 50. Was it 3 or 4 years ago? So, yeah. Anything else to add, boys?
I think I'm good.
That's it.
All right, wrap us up, Heffa.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching again. Really appreciate it. Episode 17 in the books. Episode 18 will be next week, and then soon we'll be at episode 100. It'll be great. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow us on TikTok and YouTube at LooseBallsPod1, and our X account where Bean posts all the podcasts and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And next week we'll be going over the playoffs again. A lot more games will be wrapped up, and we're gonna be going over a little bit of the PGA Championship because it will be a little bit closer. So with that being said, my name is Ryan Heffernan.
Tristan Maben.
Christopher Bean.
Love you all.
Deuces.
Peace and love.